Good morning, everybody. Today's discussion is going to be on another Dark City game. This one's called Desperados, and it's set in the Old West. This is another version of the same exact system that Darkcitygames uses for their fantasy role-playing, only, of course, the circumstances are different. This is set in the historical American West. They have a number of games for this system. This is one of, I believe, about 6 now, possibly 7 if they've produced the new one that's supposed to be coming out shortly. And basically, it's set up in exactly the same way that the fantasy and science fiction ones are. The booklet contains everything you need to know to play, and also the adventure itself, along with a map at the end for the game master to use if you choose to play with a game master. But remember, this is a paragraph system. We'll talk more about that in a second. And it's designed primarily for solo play. It comes with counters, a set of counters. You cut them apart with an X-Acto knife or even a pair of scissors if you're feeling lucky. And it contains a number of different opponents, including animals, mountain lion, hounds, wolves, and it also contains some opponents either in the form of other cowboys or Indians, as the case may be. Snakes, things like that. The map provides a series of locations that you can engage in combat in, including open terrain out here, and also inside a building, styled like an Old West bar or hotel, as the case may be. So the idea is basically every action that takes place in the game will be played out on this map using these counters as long as it involves combat. In the game itself, there's a welcome page, of course, and then the very first thing that happens is it goes into the rules of play. How do you actually play? And it tells you how you set up your characters. It also talks a little bit about character development and sample party, and it outlines briefly the adventure and how it's going to operate. And then at the beginning of it, you have a game opening paragraph, 000, which starts off the scenario, and then from there, depending on what actions you take, it'll direct you to another paragraph in the system. The paragraphs will not be located next to each other because that would be way too easy for you if you're playing at solitaire, but basically it'll instruct you to go to paragraph 21 or 37 or whatever, depending on the action that you take. You read that information, and then from there it'll direct you, depending on what you do or the outcome of the battle, to a different paragraph, and you can see how that goes. The rules include weapons for the Old West, and I've got to tell you, I was when I initially purchased one of these several years ago, I was somewhat skeptical as to how that was going to work, since it's really the old fantasy trip system with modifications. And I've got to tell you, I was very pleasantly surprised both with this and the science fiction ones and how well the system works with ranged combat. It does very well. But as you go through the paragraphs, you'll resolve different activities and so on during the adventure, and at the end of it, you're going to be required to accomplish certain things, hunt down certain people, rescue somebody, prevent a robbery, whatever. And as you go through the paragraphs, it will resolve each of these incidents, and at the end, you'll determine whether or not you were successful in accomplishing whatever your task was. At the end, we have some tables for this game that includes different types of weapons and armor, because after all, for example, the Indians would wear like reed armor, and the cowboys would have leather coats and that sort of thing. And then there's different types of skills that you may need to have for your characters so that they can accomplish the different tasks in the paragraphs. At the end of it, should be a summary, if I can get this thing open. I can't get it open here. Sorry. At the end of it, there's a summary, and it talks about things like horses and so on and so forth, and it kind of gives you a feel for the different kinds of things that you can do. This game is designed not only to be played solitaire, but also in group. And basically what that would require is 3 or 4 players, one of whom is willing to act as the game master and lead them through the adventure using the paragraphs as his guide. And then from there, they can experience it just like a regular role-playing game. This is part of a series of adventures set in the Old West, and they can all be played more or less in conjunction with each other. You could even have continuing characters from game to game if you wished, and so on. It's really an excellent little game. Nice thing about Darkcitygames is that their games are self-contained. They're easy and fun to learn. They play quickly. You can finish this in 2 to 3 hours, whether you're playing solitaire or in a group. And the fact of the matter is that pound for pound, bang for your buck, this is one of the best series of games out there, the Dark City series, because both fantasy, science fiction, and now Old West can be role played, and it's just a smooth gaming system in its entirety. In fact, speaking with some people that play old Western games, there's been some discussion about replacing the existing combat system in a lot of those role-playing games with this combat system, because it does move very smoothly and quickly to resolution, and it still has a feel for the exact same kind of combat that you would expect. So if there's any questions or comments, please include them below, and we'll try to get back to you on it. And if you like this video, please like and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Thanks very much.